TOS fans!
It's the agents of Nightvault.
And we're back again with another Talking Heads. This week we're going to talk about something that's come up a few times on various forums, and that is reaction windows.
Oh, sorry, that was too late. No, too early. I don't know. I don't know what the window was.
Too early, that says. And that's the problem, Pete. Exactly. What is the window? So, as you probably know from playing Shadespire, there's a very specific rule about when you can play reactions or whether you're allowed to play a reaction. If your opponent, if it's your turn next, then you get priority on reactions. So, supposing I make an attack action and you have something that you want to do, then if it's your reaction, if it's your turn next, Pete, then you can play that reaction. Yep. It says in the rules, and I'm not allowed to subsequently then play one. Except that condition almost never happens in any of our games. There are exact moments where we both want to play a reaction and you would get priority and I wouldn't.
I think I don't know if that's just because of the way we play or the cards we pick, but yeah, just hardly ever happens for us.
No, exactly. And I think it's because of the shades of reaction window.
50 shades of reactions.
Exactly. It's kind of like there's after an attack action, there's during an attack action, there's during an attack action that will succeed.
During an attack action that will push someone.
Yeah, exactly. There's just so many different flavours of attack action or reaction window that it gets very confusing. And actually, it's very unusual for there to be two cards that trigger at the same time. And it ends up in this situation where, which is perfectly legal and is fine, where you can play Twist the Knife and Trap in the same turn, even though both of them start by saying during the attack action. Whereas one of them says something like during an attack action that will succeed, and the other one says during an attack action that will push a fighter back.
Yes, Trap is play this during a friendly fighter's attack action that drives an enemy fighter back. That person suffers 1 wound. And the other one, which was Twist the Knife, that one says play this during a friendly fighter's attack action that has a range of 1 and will succeed. It has +1 damage for the attack, so that actually just adds 1 to your damage, and the other one actually does a damage when you're pushed back. Yeah,
so that's all fine. That's it. It's been FAQ'd. You can play both of those at once. But I suppose Pete and I, or maybe more me driving this one today, Pete, feel that maybe it could be a little bit clearer, or not so much clearer, but maybe better defined when you should play them. And maybe you would then have people playing less going for Trap and Twist the Knife, because it's such a powerful combination, and nearly every deck seems to have it, every competitive deck, until maybe the last release of cards seem to have that combination, and then you end up with this kind of stagnating meta because you've got these really powerful cards.
And you'd be stupid not to take them, basically, because they're just so effective.
Exactly, and maybe if they just change the reaction window rule slightly, or perhaps walk down the number of gradients that it has, then maybe the game you get people choosing different cards, maybe? I don't know. It would certainly make it simpler to understand.
I think you take less of them as a reaction to protect yourself from your opponent's reactions, because a couple of people mentioned online that they take certain reaction cards purely to try and stop things like Twist the Knife, but because there's so many greys there, you just don't know which ones would work in which situations, and in the end it becomes easier to just not bother trying to cover those minutiae of situations where it might occur.
No, exactly, and also with the so many different gradients, at what point do you say, well, I'm going to play this one now? So somebody mentioned online the superior agility, I think it is. Does it stop Twist the Knife? I mean, I guess you probably would play it anyway if you had this card. That's not the best example, but superior agility says during an attack action that could drive this fighter back, whether or not your opponent chose to, you can instead push them 1 hex. But that's not entirely clear which them it is. But anyway, that's beside the point. So, that's during an attack action. Can it trigger before or at the same time as Twist the Knife, and therefore prevent somebody from playing Twist the Knife?
Yes.
This discussion was had online. A couple of people, including myself, thought that it would. Which, if I thought it, as we established in our last Talking Heads, that probably means that it won't.
Completely wrong.
Yeah, exactly. And Simon, who's won more shade glass than I have, who's one of our patrons, he said that he thought it wouldn't. He said he thought it wouldn't. And so, but you don't really want to be having that discussion. You basically want to get to the table and it says, well, this one says during an attack action, so my one, it's my turn next. I get precedent. I play it. You can't play yours. I think that's what the game needs. It doesn't need all these gradients. It just needs much fewer reaction trigger windows. I mean, I almost this might be too draconian, and I think a lot of people say it is almost like you can play 1 per attack action. If you've got one that says attack action on it, that's the one you play. And then you can't play anymore unless somebody else makes another attack action. So if it was something like ready for action where you then got another one, then you could respond to that attack action. But that wasn't the previous attack action.
Yes, I mean, just very quickly looking through the cards online, there are probably over 50, 60, 70 cards that are reactions in one step or another.
Yeah.
And I would be willing to bet that a lot of those have very different wordings on them throughout. And none of them, no two cards, they're like snowflakes. No two cards are the same, and no two wordings are quite identical. And that really does throw a lot of confusion into the matter. It should just be a few set points during the process.
Yeah, I mean, you could have. I do think having one per attack action is too drastic, but you could have before, during, and after. That's 3. And
Yes.
if it has those words in it, you can only play one in each window, if you like.
Yeah. I mean, some games do have a visual representation of the steps that you go through, and that helps you a lot more because then you know exactly at what step your card kicks in. And Shadespire or Underworlds doesn't really have that. It's written out, but unfortunately, because it's written, it's a bit wordy and it can be misunderstood either willfully or accidentally, and it can be the words can be twisted depending on where you put the emphasis on which word. Because of that, it can lead things to be a bit open for interpretation, and therefore, when you've got 100 cards and every card's got a slightly different wording, it really does start to muddy the waters.
Absolutely. I mean, we've commented on it before. Lots of people commented on it. Just generally across the board, Warhammer Underworlds needs better consistency of wording, and definitely in these reactions with these sort of different grades of reaction window, different slices of the reaction window, it gets very confusing to know when things should go. But also, I think because there are so many gradients of reaction window, it means you can end up playing a lot of cards, which is not necessarily a bad thing, but you can end up playing a lot of cards all in the same turn,
all for one attack,
all in one attack, which I think is a bit of a shame in some ways, because I think it would be more interesting, like you say. Then you could have more defensive kind of ploys or more defensive card playing, because you could think, well, okay, I'm actually going to take this card so that it does actually stop somebody, whereas actually in reality at the moment the chances of you being able to use a card to stop somebody playing a card is pretty slim. Whereas if there are only 3 grades, you could say, well, this is a during attack action, so this card will stop twist the knife.
At some point
trap.
it is going to kick in and it is going to help me block some other things off, and that I think, I mean, maybe it's just that we haven't seen enough defensive reactions yet come out that are actually worth taking. Maybe that's why.
Well, no, exactly. But if you knew you could use it with some reliability, that might make it more worth taking. So I think Simon mentioned again that Rebound, which is a card I've never taken because it always seems like to be it's not worth taking.
It does need a dice roll. It
doesn't come off very often. It's not. Yeah, but not only does it need a dice roll, it's like only a third of it chance of it working, isn't there?
You have to roll a dodge or a crit, so you've only got a 1 in 3 chance.
Yeah. So so I've never taken it, but Simon pointed out that it will stop cards like Twist the Knife because it's the same. It's the same time.
Because it's play this during an attack action that would succeed, so it does kick in before Twist the Knife, because you would do that before Twist the Knife actually does do the damage, before you get pushed back and Pit Trap kicks in.
So that is more of a reason to take it, although it's a bit of a, I guess the person wouldn't get to play Twist the Knife because if their rebound's gone off, they're more likely dead. But
well, not only that, they can't play Twist the Knife because it's not successful at that point.
No, that's true. Yes, so it would only I suppose it prolongs the inevitable, which in Nightvault is enough time to actually win the game if you can.
Yep.
Stop somebody getting that off, I guess.
Also, quite often people tend to make their attacks count, or at least we do. When you're making an attack, you want to load it up. You want it to succeed. You want it to do a lot of damage, because you don't just want to be doing 1 or 2 damage here or there. You want to try and take a model out straight away and reduce your opponent's ability to react to multiple situations.
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
For that reason, maybe Rebound is more worthwhile. Maybe we're just not picking it when we should do.
No, maybe we should. To digress, because I tend to play the heavy hitters. If it goes off, Rebound goes off against me, then I may well flip the table.
yeah. The minute you get Gerzag lined up with a Awakened Weapon and his great strength and incredible strength, and then he goes after a festering scave, and then suddenly, wham! He somehow manages to cut his own head off.
Yeah,
you might get a little bit stroppy.
I would not be happy. But c'est la vie. Hopefully I would laugh about it afterwards.
It's almost worth me taking just for that moment. There was, of course, that game we played with Sepulchre Guard versus Fuel and his chosen axes, where I played Death Throes, which is play this card during an attack action to cause 1 damage, and then I played Bone Trap Laughter, which is play after an attack action, take somebody out. So managed to do 2 damage in one go there with 2 different reaction cards.
Yes, now that's an interesting thing there. They are actually during and after, but they're the same card.
Yes, both do one damage.
They do the same thing.
Maybe that's intentional.
Well, is it intentional? This is the thing with Games Workshop's woolly wording. Is that intentional, or is it just a complete oversight and mistake?
Yeah, and I do wonder. I mean, like I say, we've got, you've got 60, 70, 80 cards that all have reaction in their description and all probably have slightly different wordings of how or when that reaction kicks in. And that really just makes things so much muddier to work out. And I know we're repeating ourselves here, we're going over that again. I don't want to sound ungrateful, because I do like the way they've obviously put a lot of thought into every card, and every card has got its own slant, which is great. They've put a lot of time, spent a lot of effort giving us this really fluffy and colourful game. But at the same time, I think I'd rather have a bit like AOS Champions, where it says, where they use the key words and stuff like that, and the description's much easier to understand, because it's just when blah does blah, then do blah, and it just you key off of those symbols or those sort of key phrases, and that just makes it so much easier to follow.
Yeah, I'm just going back and forth between while you're talking between Death Throes and Bone Trap, and try and working out why on earth they, unless it was just purely a design decision, why they would have worded them that way differently. It's a bizarre thing. Yeah,
I mean they do exactly the same thing, and they're different to Fungal Blessing, and different to, is it Treacherous Foe?
Oh yeah, I haven't looked those up.
Because Fungal Blessing is play this after an enemy fighter's attack action, which is the same as Death Throes, but that one takes an adjacent friendly fighter out of action, as is Treacherous Foe. So they're different, but they do trigger at the same time as Death Throes, but they're slightly worse cards.
The Treacherous Foe is an objective.
Sorry, not Treacherous Foes. It's Vengeful Curse. And Vengeful Curse, Fungal Blessing, and Death Throes all do the damage after the attack action, whereas Bone Shrapnel does it during the attack action.
No, Death Throes does it during, and all the other three do it after.
Yes, sorry, so, get there in the end.
Yeah,
this just highlights how different and how confusing it can be.
Yeah, now I wonder if that's deliberate. I'd love to know whether that was deliberate or whether it was just an oversight. But anyway, we've kind of waffled on about the same thing, really. So what do you guys think out there? Do you think there's too many opportunities, different triggers for playing reactions? Or would you like to see it slimmed down to just like maybe 3 before, during and after, for example? I know there must be other circumstances where you can play them as well. But
we have got hung up a bit on just attacks, but there are a lot of other situations as well where you can have where things move and all that kind of stuff as well.
Yes, yeah. What would you like to see? Well, what is the classic one, I suppose, is Quick Thinker. Yes, so Quick Thinker, play this after an enemy's fighter's move action. I suppose that's fairly... But again, that would fit into the before, during and after thing. You can have
yes, because it says after an enemy fighter's move action, whereas I think some of them say when a fighter makes a move action, and you're then sitting there thinking, is that when they start to make the move action? Is it after they've... During? When do you play that, I think I personally would rather have less opportunities to play reactions and have a clearer defined set of windows on where you would play those reactions, personally. But I'm sure other people will say different, so do let us know what you think.
Yeah, let us know what you think. We feel like the game, it's not spoiled by any stretch of the imagination by this, but I just feel like it causes unnecessary confusion. I've been having quite a lot of conversations with people who are new to the game and thinking about how to explain how to play the game. And to me, this seems to be the most... if you're going to have to keep asking the question time and again, it's going to be, at what point can I play this reaction, or at what point am I not allowed to play this reaction because my opponent's played one? And I don't think it's almost like you have to do it on a case by case basis. In fact, there was a thread today on Facebook where somebody had written a beautiful example of how the reaction window went out, but it went on and on and on. They obviously spent a lot of time on it, but it went on and on and on for paragraph after paragraph after paragraph. You don't want to have to explain that to everybody you're running a tournament for, or when you're trying to teach the game. I mean, okay, you probably wouldn't need to do it when you were teaching the game, but when you're trying to take them on to the next steps, you don't want that level of complexity.
No, you want like a 4 or 5 node flowchart, and that should be it. I've actually
just realised that conversation was nothing to do with the reactions at all. It was to do with score immediately.
But that's also just confusing in some cases.
Well, that's true, yeah. We'll talk about score immediately another time. In fact, one of our patrons, Dale, I think, asked a question about score immediately, and I haven't answered him yet. So, not score immediately, but just objectives in general, and I haven't answered that yet. So maybe that will be the subject of a future talking head. Be an interesting one to do, I think.
Yes.
But I think we've waffled on enough about reaction windows, don't you, Pete? Or have you got anything else to say?
I don't know if the reaction windows come up yet for me to respond.
No, it's gone.
Oh, crap. I meant to play it earlier then. I think overall, we don't take it. I mean, we don't take it particularly to heart, and I think that might be because we don't play uber seriously, but then neither of us have been to tournaments, and I can see you might get more irate if you're in a situation where you think you're in the right and you need that win to possibly even win some glass, win a trophy or something like that. And I could see that could then cause more irritation if you call it one way and the tournament organisers rule it another way, and I think the clarity would help in those situations a lot more.
I think so too, and I just think just for beginners and the consistency of the game, so that you can just go, even if you're not playing seriously for glass, you can just go from one club to the next, and everybody understands how death throws works, or how when twist the knife can be played.
Yes,
I just think that would be nicer. I mean, it's not a massive issue, but I just feel like the game is now at a stage. There's so many cards. The game needs to be a bit more kind of codified in the sequence of events.
Yes, it needs to be neatened. I think the only problem you will have is that the only way you could neaten this would be for future cards to be clearer, but that doesn't clear up older cards.
No, absolutely.
So the only way you could change that would be to implement a new rule in a second or third or third or fourth season to say something along the lines of reactions. Only one reaction can be played during the entirety of an attack or something like that.
Have the 3 phases before, during, and after.
Yes, but then you might have cards that might not fit into one of those phases, and then you have to rule them on a case-by-case basis again. Or, is this before, is this during, or is it after? And maybe the easiest way would be just to say you get one. That's all you get during the entire attack, which is from when you roll the attack dice to when you push the model back. That's the whole attack, and you can play one reaction during that time.
And I wonder how much that would shake up the meta if we did go back to just if you were only allowed to play one reaction per attack action. So, i.e., it would almost always be your opponent reacting to you, because they get priority because it's their turn next.
Yep.
I wonder if that would shake up the meta, whether you would start getting less cards like trap.
Trap, you might start thinking more about taking superior agility and things like that, because then you could actually stop your opponent from doing that extra damage.
Yeah, interesting. What do you guys think? I'm sure most of you who play competitively would absolutely hate there to be only allowed to be one reaction per attack action, so probably you wouldn't want that at all. But that'd be interesting to try. I don't know how much it would shake up the meta.
Yeah, or maybe it'll make no difference at all, because most of the time it doesn't really ever happen. Because we never find it, so you never know.
That's true. Right, I think that's probably enough waffling on this subject tonight. We should probably change this to waffling heads rather than talking heads.
Yep. No, I want waffles.
Waffles, yes. Sweet ones or potato?
Either. Both. Okay. Don't see why you have to make a choice.
Depends if you've got chocolate sauce or tomato sauce.
That's true, that is true.
And on that bombshell,
we shall see you soon.
Yeah, okay. Thanks for listening.